Really, MasterHand, another Mega Man game? Come on, you've done one for the Game Boy, haven't you? Aha, but the regular series is different.
Okay, so the game name is Mega Man 6. Now, in our opinion, this is the worst of the regular series. Now, some would say that it's Mega Man 7 or Mega Man 8. And while there's certainly arguments to be had for either, we really just feel that Mega Man 6 is what fits the bottom of the barrel.
Now you're probably asking yourself, why would we pick the worst of the series to review? Out of all the games, why not pick one of the better ones? Well, hold that thought. We'll get to it.
Now, that aside, there are a few things that make it stand out from the other games in the series. The first one that you'll notice is the fact that Dr. Wily has what is quite possibly the worst disguise in the history of video games. Worst disguise is an understatement, MasterHand. Yeah, that's why it makes it stand out so well. So anyway, other than that, there's the punch pack and the jet pack. Now hold on a second, MasterHand. This always bugged me. Why does Wily just send one Met or Meetool or whatever at a time from that thing at Mega Man? With how hard Mega Man is to kill, why don't you just send them all at once? CrazyHand, why doesn't he just make a spiked room? Oh, sure, MasterHand. Borrow everyone else's lines. Just saying, you asked.
Oh, and speaking of the jetpack, check this out. Okay, guess removing the game by myself is a little more difficult without MasterHand's assistance. Anyway, notice how Mega Man is using it on the cover. That's way different than it occurs in the game.
In fact, that's actually how he dashes in Mega Man 7. In Mega Man 6, he just does that unmanly, whatever the fuck you call that thing.
Now, while CrazyHand does have a good point, the simple fact is it wouldn't be the first time that a Mega Man cover has been at least a little misleading. After all, we've never ever seen him actually hold a gun, right? His hand is the gun.
When you select a Robot Master, it brings up all sorts of stats on them. Not really bad, it's just weird. The other games never did that, either before or after. And much like Mega Man 5, it doesn't have the traditional fanfare that plays whenever you select a Robot Master.
Oh, and speaking of Mega Man 5, Beat does make a return in this one. Yeah, a horrible excuse for a return.
In Mega Man 5, Beat could attack anything and everything, including bosses, but in this one, Beat doesn't attack bosses. What's with that? CrazyHand, did you ever stop and think that maybe Beat was a little overpowered in Mega Man 5? No!
Now, this game's also noteworthy for being one of 3 games with exactly 16 levels. And the reason for this is because there's a pretend extra in there.
All 3 of these games involved a supposed Dr. Wily replacement. So you go through a castle that's not really Dr. Wily's, or kinda sorta is, but is pretending not to be, only to go through Dr. Wily's castle, and each castle has 4 stages. The funny thing is, all 3 of these games occurred in succession to one another. First there was Dr. Cossack, which, that was believable. I mean, hey, you just kicked Dr. Wily's ass 3 times in a row, why would he want to, challenge you again, right? Then there was Proto Man, quote unquote, which, yeah, I guess he kind of attacked you in Mega Man 3, making that believable, but then again, Dr. Wily was behind Dr. Cossack. I don't know, looking suspicious. And then there was Mr. X.
My hand could facepalm. Now you know how I feel about you, MasterHand. What do I have to... Never mind.
CrazyHand's rude commenting aside, there are some bosses in the castle levels that are made to be fought with the punch suit or whatever. In fact, Mr. X, or rather Dr. Wily in his Mr. X form, actually reacts to being punched by flying straight to the other side of the screen, or swinging, whatever the fuck you call that. The power suit, as MasterHand so eloquently fails to call it, is also usable against regular enemies.
One One final thing worth noting is how Capcom failed miserably to end the regular Mega Man series with this.
Sure, there's the to be continued at the end, but let's face it, that could easily have been added the last second. When you defeat quote-unquote Mr. X and go on to Wily's real castle, it says let the final confrontation begin, and then we have Wily being thrown in jail. So yeah, clearly it was supposed to be the end of the series. As it turns out, it did not pan out that way. Mega Man 8 almost ended the series on its own, but that's a different video for a different day.
So why did we choose this one game when we personally feel it's the worst of the series? Because it still kicks ass.
Okay, maybe me saying it kicks ass was exaggerating a little, but it's more than decent. CrazyHand's right. The fact is, well, this really isn't by any means an upstanding example as far as the series is concerned. That still leaves enough room for it to be considered a fairly good title. We can't really tell you why we don't feel it's as good as the other games because, well, we just can't really pinpoint it on anything. It just doesn't feel as fun as the other games do. Is it due to the things that stand it out from the others? Maybe, maybe not. Can't really say. All we can say is that it doesn't really feel as fun, but it's still more than enough fun to be a worthwhile experience.
So there you have it, folks. Mega Man 6. It's the worst of the series, but it's still decent enough. And hey, if that game is still good, just imagine how good the rest of the series will be. And on that note, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.